Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be She's Mad I Don't Chase, Part Deux. And for those of you that don't know, Deux is two, being a smartass in French. So this is actually an update to the newsletter that I did the other day titled She's Mad Because I Don't Chase. And what's interesting is this guy, I even talked about this or hinted when I was reading his original email, pointing out that he suspected that he'd been a little too cold and he had taken not chasing to the extreme. So he was already starting to recognize he was being a bit of a cold fish. So in between the time he sent me that email and I actually got it and put it in the production line, if you will, to be done on a video newsletter, he reached out to her and basically did pretty close to what I ended up suggesting in the video. And what I love about that is he didn't have to wait for me to come out with an answer. He knew enough. In other words, he ended up knowing the book better than he thought he did, and he did a pretty damn great job of turning around. So I thought I'd let him tell you in his words what he did. And what I'm proud of him about is that he obviously knew the information a lot better and was able to fix the situation all on his own, because the whole purpose of what I do is to teach other people to be self-reliant so they can get the things that they want. So I got a quote that I wrote on being a self-reliant human being, and then we're going to go through his update so you can see what he did successfully. And the quote says, being a self-reliant human being means being able to successfully negotiate for who and what you want in your life. You must believe enough in your own value to perfect your skills, gifts, and talents that are in demand in the economy so you can add value through a useful product or service and receive financial compensation for the value that you contribute. The more value that you contribute, the more you should be able to earn by using the right mechanics, procedures, systems, tools, and financial compensation models. Learn how to do it from the best. Model what they do successfully day in and day out, adapt it to your own life, and you should achieve similar results. 80% of getting what you want is a result of believing and acting as if you are worthy. The other 20% is learning and acquiring the proper mechanics, knowledge, actions, and details to make it a reality. A self-reliant person is a seeker of knowledge and a person of action who implements that knowledge to achieve a predictable and desired outcome or result. Much like the guy who read my book and was able to do a pretty fucking great job on his own without any coaching from me over the past year or two to turn his life around and attract a really great girl and prevent from losing said great girl because of a fuck up on his part. So he says, update. Well, Corey, I'd like to say thank you for doing the video, and it looks like it stirred up some shit this morning on YouTube, LOL. I'm reading through your YouTube comments on the video where you answered my email, and I'm just laughing my ass off because, of course, there's not enough detail for them to know who I really am or what's really going on, but that's the gist of it. Every weekend, I take her ass somewhere new. So in other words, it never gets boring and dull and routine. That's really, really super important. Keeps her excited and engaged. Remember, one of our 6 human needs is variety. We all, men and women, need variety in our lives, and especially when it comes to dating, you got to have some variety in what you do. Obviously, certainty is an important one of the 6 human needs, but you don't want to be doing the same thing over and over and over again because it gets boring, it gets predictable, and that turns women off. Remember, when cats get bored, they go look for something else to play with. Wine tasting or restaurants, or we cook around the house, or we go to a game, or we go to shows and shit like that. When we're together, she can't keep her goddamn hands off me. Sometimes I think I'm going to have to go on the pill just to keep up with her, LOL. Well, when a woman's happy and she's really in love, she's all over you and she wants you all up inside her as often as possible. It's about becoming one. It's oneness. It's togetherness. It's nesting. It's being a family. I'm only 32 and she's 29 and wants it all the time. Well, as they say, men tend to peak sexually around 18 years old. In other words, you're the horniest and you want sex the most when you're around 18, or so they say. And women supposedly peak around their early 30s. So, it's interesting. And I will say from personal experience that I'd say the numbers tend to bear it out. 3 or 4 times a day, and then she leaves and sends me messages saying she wants me to fuck her again. Well, that's a real bummer, I bet, seeing those pop up in your cell phone. Anyways, after I sent that email, I did end up reaching out to her with a simple, "Hey babe, how's your day?" And she says, so in other words, he reached out to her. He realized I've been a little too much of a cold fish, and she's asked me numerous times to reach out, and she's getting mad that she tells me that she wants me to reach out, and I never do it, and I give her excuses. So like I was saying last time, it looked like he was kind of starting to figure out what he was doing wrong. Because at the end of the day, when you send an email to me, I mean, I get so many of them, it doesn't mean I can't answer all of them. So, I mean, for all he knew, I was never going to get around to answering his email. But luckily he did. But by that time, he'd already taken corrective action, and he was right in his approach, as you're going to see. And she responds, "Hey, how are you? What's up?" And he says, "Well, it's our day, so I'm checking to see if you want to get together later on." And she says, "I have plans with one of my friends." Remember, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And so here's where you're seeing the power of giving her freedom. Showing her you want her and you desire her, and reaching out for the first time, because after a whole year of dating, she believed it was fucking impossible. He was never going to do it, and she even busted his balls about it in the last email. And he says, "Okay, cool. You should go spend time with your friends." And she says, "Okay." And he says, "Have a good day." And she says, "You too." A few minutes later, well, damn, she just canceled. In other words, her girlfriend that she was going to go hang out with. "I made reservations, so would you like to go instead?" Isn't that interesting? Shows you where her priorities are. "My boyfriend called me, and he reached out. It was the first time, and I've been asking him for a year to do it, and he finally did it. I really want to see him. I miss him. Would you mind? We'll reschedule. I love you," as she's saying to her girlfriend. And he says, "Sure, babe. You know it's one of my favorite spots." Damn, she don't know what's missing. In other words, referring to her girlfriend that canceled on her. And she says something's going on with her kids, so she can't make it. And he says, "Okay, I'll pick you up at 5. And she says, "Okay." So I went to pick her up, and when she came out of the house, as I usually do, I opened the door for her, I gave her a kiss, and I smacked her on the ass, and she got in the car. We went to the restaurant, and she was holding back, and then she let loose and started telling me how she felt, and that she just wanted me to make the small change and all of that. And I told her that it really wasn't anything personal, and that I'm really busy right now. And she says, "Yeah, I know, but it's the little things that make me happy." So in other words, he did something that she's been asking him to do for basically the past year. And so it was a little thing, so it meant a lot. Because remember, scarcity creates value. And just one simple call or text or note or message or random email at different days and different times once a week, all it takes. It just shows that you listened and you cared, and she was important enough to you to do that because it meant a lot to her. I said, "Okay, baby, I'll do my best." We drank some wine and had an amazing dinner, and needless to say, I was raw by the next morning. Yeah, that's the downside with having lots of sex, is your dick gets so fucking raw you can't even walk. I definitely think the time apart was good for both of us, as I definitely missed her, and I know she missed me. Scarcity creates value, so it sounds like you made up for it. I just think she wanted to see if I was going to chase after her. Well, like I said in the last email, she just wanted to see that you cared enough to reach out. Doesn't mean you have to do it every day and say good morning and night and all that shit, but just randomly do it for the simple reason that it's really important to her, and she's really gone out of her way to let you know it's important. And when you don't, it makes her feel like you don't care. But it doesn't mean you blow up her phone and you chase her out of your life. Less really is more. A little bit of catnip here and there never hurt any kitty cat. When she does reach out to me, I'm always making her laugh and bullshitted with her. Sounds like the Game of Thrones pinball machine. Bullshitted with her, and the conversation always turns into when is the next time we're going to be jumping each other's bones. When women are happy and they're in love, they're blowing up your phone, they're wanting to be all up on you, just like this girl is. So after a year, it's pretty awesome that you got this kind of passion after a year of dating. So great fucking job, dude. You're kicking ass. You are a Jedi Master. I guess it doesn't come... Don't get cocky with that now. I guess it doesn't just come natural. I guess it just doesn't come natural to me to be reaching out during the day and being in a relationship like this, considering I was with my wife for 12 years and I saw her daily. I'd much rather be close by my woman versus communicating via phone. Exactly. But obviously, we went over it. I spent a whole video last time making the point. It's just doing a little bit more than you were doing. One action step per week, if you really want to boil it down. It's not really a lot. A little goes a long fucking way with women. She understands that. What's crazy is she doesn't even give me a chance to reach out to her because of a lot of times she's reached out to me early in the morning. I haven't even SSS yet. I don't know what that means. Anyways, to sum it up, we're back on track and fucking each other's brains out as we've been just a little bit of a hiccup. Well, now, because of this little hiccup, you're closer, she's happier. Now she's going to be thinking about you more and more in terms of long-term plans. Because you actually, after a year, you changed your approach a little bit because you knew it was important to her. And she's over the moon at that. Remember, this is all about meeting each other's needs to help each other grow and become more. The whole purpose of every relationship is you go there to give. Why not give her what she wants? But not too much of it. Too much of a good thing, people start to not appreciate it. I think deep down she knows what I bring to the table, and I also value her, and she likes to start a little shit every now and then. Of course, women want to mix it up, especially the hot, beautiful ones. It makes things interesting. And it also reminds her that she's got a real fucking man that has very few chinks in his armor. I believe women say they want a man chasing them, but deep down, they really don't. Ding! You are correct. She just wants a little affection and to not feel like she's the only one pursuing me. Small, tiny bit. And I'm just being me, and I'm focusing on my business and my children, and it's a balancing act of trying to keep her happy as well. I'm reading the book now for the 9th time. I have the Kindle version and the audio version. Obviously, for those of you that don't have my book and haven't read it yet, you can read it for free on my website by subscribing to the newsletter. You can download the audio version from audible.com by becoming a member. You can also get it on iTunes. And for those of you, because I see people are always saying, hey, here's a donation, thanks. I see people a lot of times on my videos saying they watch the whole ad so I can earn some extra ad revenue. I appreciate that, but if you hate commercials as much as I do, YouTube Red has this thing where you pay I think it's like $9.99 a month, depending on the country that you're in, and you don't have to see any ads. And what's cool is depending on how many videos you watch, whoever's YouTube channel that you watch gets a cut of that $9.99 based upon how much they watch, which is another great way to compensate the creators. So for those of you that are inclined, you want to get rid of the fucking ads because we're paying in the ass, it's basically $10 a month with YouTube, and that's across the board. That'll completely eliminate ads from your experience on YouTube, and it's pretty fucking nice. So I will be talking to you soon.